As Nigeria continues to battle COVID-19 pandemic, the fight against the virus has now shifted to communities. Very sad one. Curbing the spread through effective various means and creative means is something we can constantly explore as individuals and groups.
Well, some critics are saying that the wearing of a face mask, as well as social distancing and lockdowns, may not be enough to curb the spread of the virus.
Well, joining us now to look at the curbing community spread of COVID-19 is Dr. Moses Ani, the medical doctor of Hova's Place Hospital in FESTAC. Welcome to the morning show, Mr. Ani, Dr. Ani. Yes, so let me start with this.
Nice being with you.
Okay, so let's start with this. We do know that we have gotten to the phase of community spread when it's in regards to COVID-19. And when we talk about communities, we know that that's where we have the primary healthcare facilities. So I want to ask you, how confident are you with how they've been able to respond to persons that have come in with symptoms or otherwise?
We haven't had people with symptoms. But I just want to say that the issue of the community is not a big one. I think the issue is with the authority. And we must be aware of the fact that the average Nigerian is an intellectual. He's wise. He has an understanding. If we can sit down and explain to a Nigerian, this is what you need to do, a lot of people will adhere to it. I can tell you, for instance, it hasn't been like it used to be in the hospitals. Like right now, we say we don't want visitors in the hospital. Even when you have a pregnant woman who has delivered, the relations will not come because they understand the fact that right now, even the hospital has become a threat to a lot of people. So people hear what you are telling them and they want to respond. And once they respond, you are curbing it already. So I dared to say that the problem is not with the community. The problem is with the leadership. The community will be willing and obedient to listen to what you are saying to them. Wear the mask, they will wear it. Social distancing, they will do that. Wash your hands, they are out to do that. Are you talking about sanitizing? If you provide it, they will sanitize their hands. And let me tell you, now we are talking about economy, what is happening in our economy. And the truth is that go to some other nationalities, right? It's not the way things are handled in this country that is being handled in other nations. People who are willing to curb the disease must do it. You know, there's what they call the pedagogy of the oppressed. Yes. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, sir.
Hello? Are you there?
We're here. Go ahead.
That's what we call the pedagogy of the oppressed, where the teacher knows it all and the taught does not know. That's what we tend to do in this country. The people who are leading, who ought to be showing examples, don't do that. And the ones they expect that Nigerians are going to follow them the way they are saying that we should do, yet they will not do it. So, prepared to make things work when it comes to post-COVID. There are ways to make it work. Then we are talking about what we want to do in order to help facilities, in order to build things. Is anybody listening to himself or herself about what we are saying about this country? What are we talking about? Money was donated. Where is the money? The community is crying. Have you helped the community? If you go to the bank today to see exactly what is happening, you will run away from this nation. So people are not helping themselves. The authority is not helping ourselves. What they are doing is try to deceive the people, and the people are not going to be deceived anymore. We know what exactly is going on.
Well, Dr. Ani, at a virtual press conference yesterday in Geneva, the World Health Organization says the virus may never go away. And it is very dangerous for anybody to predict when we'll begin to see an end to the virus. And that brings me to the question, because you have, practically criticized the government handling of this, but I want to bring in the people's responsibility. As a people, do we not have a share of responsibility in curbing the spread? The Nigerian government had closed the international airspace weeks ago. There was a 4 weeks or 5 weeks lockdown, depends on where you are, if it's Ogun State, Lagos, or Federal Capital Abuja. And different states have adopted their own lockdown measures. Yet we see these numbers. Authorities are attributing it to more testing. But where is the role of the people in all of this?
Okay, let's even look at the people. Now, you say there's a lockdown. Okay, there's a lockdown. What are you expecting the people to do when there is a lockdown? You need to help the people in order to adhere to the law or the things that you're asking them to do. If you do that, the people will actually follow you according to what you are saying. But we need to inform the people, educate them, and use the carrots as well as the stick. For instance, if you say people should not travel, well, they will not travel, but you also will not travel. But again, apart from that, people want to be responsible to their own health. Like the Ugandan president put it, it's supposed to be a warfare. In a warfare, some people are not shelled, and some people are allowed to be killed. So if you are doing the right things, the people have the responsibility to themselves, and they would want to keep to it. I can tell you the average Nigerian is responsible. Like I just was painting a picture of what is happening in the hospitals. Right now, most people don't go to hospitals. The hospitals are equipped to make sure that nobody who is carrying the virus comes in. So as much as we are concerned, if we are saying people should not do this, then we should do our own. I think if we do that, then we will be safe.
All right. I mean, your analogy and your conversation just makes me remember the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson that says, what you do speaks so loud, I cannot hear what you say. Is that sort of the reaction going on with the people now? And secondly, just a minute, and secondly, you react to that, but secondly, what about religious leaders that are saying the people should go a defiant way? And these people hold the fortunes and the destiny of these people in their hands because they are their papas and mamas in the Lord. What about the religious leaders?
Let me respond to these three things that you raised right now. Let's talk about the religious leaders. A religious leader who is defying the government is probably ignorant and need to be held responsible. But if you treat A differently from the way you treat B, you are bound to have a reaction. I'll give you an example. When it was time to say, look, everybody should desist from going to the place of worship, it should be done the same way for the Christian, the same way for the Muslim. Now, just in front of me, you have a lot of people gathering who are having their Ramadan fast, and they all come together. Nobody is wearing masks. Nobody is talking about it. The police is doing nothing. So you should actually have a group of people, if you say the police, the military, and so on, who are task force, and they ought to do this, let them do the same thing for everybody. Now, it's also ignorance if I say because the Muslims are doing that, I won't do that as a Christian. Whom am I punishing? I'm punishing myself. I'm being responsible for the people I'm leading. What if any of them is COVID positive and they spread it within the church? What is going to happen is that you start a prayer warfare. So, in other words, any minister of God who understands what is involved, who has been taught, who should know, and now refuse to adhere to the law of the nation, to what is being said, then I think that person is ignorant. That's one. Then the second thing is, I'm looking at the issue of the nation. People are saying, don't do this. Please, excuse me. I want you to just get out. Some people have even taken pictures showing some policemen collecting money. What are they doing on the road? They are not doing anything. It has to take somebody like Wike to go outside and start behaving like a military man. He shouldn't be. What you should do is to find a way of punishing the people. I think what the God state is doing is better. There's a court, and if you are caught outside, then the right thing is for you to be punished adequately. And when you begin to do this, use the stick and carrot, I can reassure you, Nigerians are going to respond to you. You obey laws adequately. But we want to mismanage ourselves, mismanage the nation, and think that the people will not be mismanaged. They will be mismanaged. All of us are trying to be responsible, and I believe that we are responsible. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Annie, we're going to be going on a short break very soon, but I would like to ask you when we come back about the Almajiri children. I mean, we are seeing a lot of repatriation in different states, and there are fears that they are indeed helping to spread COVID-19 in communities. We're going to go on a short break now. When we come back, we will continue this conversation. Join us again. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still joined by Dr. Moses Ani, discussing how we can curb community spread of COVID-19, and he's with us all the way from FESTAC. Now, before the break, I was asking you, we are seeing the number of COVID-19 cases steadily growing in Nigeria, and there are growing concerns over the faith of children who have left home to study Islam. They're popularly known as Almajiri. So I want to ask you, what's your take on this? I mean, we're seeing a lot of repatriation, lots of states picking them up and sending them back in clustered buses. And we know that this in itself could be pushing community spread. I'd like to know your take on this, Dr. Ani.
Okay, thanks. Let me start by saying that they are not moved in buses. They are moved in trucks. And they are moved in such a way that you can have as many as 50, 60, and above put inside one particular container and being moved. And they are moved from state to state. When there is a lockdown, when you are talking about movement from state to state, and you still have the so-called task force, that is presidential task force, that is put there by the president of this country. I like to answer this way. Obviously, the people who are supposed to do what they ought to do have something different in mind. And because of that, you are having the same problem you are having. El-Rufai was talking about Kaduna State, and he said he's going to deal with that situation. He's going to deal with that issue. Yet you see them in Port Harcourt. You see them in Ogun State. You see what is the intent. So the government know what they are doing. They understand what they are doing. They want to kill Nigerians in Nigerian soil. Otherwise, if I am a lawmaker, if I am the president,
Dr. Ani, you don't have substantive proof as regards that very strong statement that the government of Nigeria wants to kill Nigerians in Nigerian soil. You don't have proof about that, sir.
No.
I'll challenge you on that, sir.
No, let's look at this. Let's look at it. Where are they heading from? Now, if you look at the statistics of COVID-19, if you look at the statistics, you find out that initially it was more of Lagos and Federal Capital Territory. But right now, you are talking about Kanu, you are talking about the northern states being like where they kind of spread it so much and they want to transfer it down south. So I'm saying that if I know that this is what is happening and my intent is to curb that, then what I should do is to make sure that people in my state don't leave my state to go to other states. Being part of the people who made the law. If I am a governor of a particular state and I'm the lawmaker, and I am also the one who keeps the security of that particular state, then it behoves that I should do something about that. So you could see where the problem is coming from. It's coming from us. It's coming from the people who are making the law. It's not even coming from the community. They want to infect the community and make sure that they deal with the community. Otherwise, they will do something different.
Two questions.
That's what I mean.
Are you saying, because we do have ban on interstate travel at the moment, are you indicting the security agencies in all of this? But my question really, as you answer that, is, do you think that easing the lockdown was premature? We know we are in phases of it. The first phase has just ended, and we're hoping to hear what the next phase will be. But do you think that this was premature? And secondly, let me ask you as a doctor, what's your take on the herd immunity that some countries have adopted? Some countries like Sweden never actually locked down their countries. And the numbers there are quite low considering the population that they have. Do you think that that is what Nigeria should be adopting? And do you have a sense that perhaps that's what the government is doing?
Well, if that's what the government is doing, they should do like Sweden is doing. In most of those countries where people are allowed to move, there are checks and balances. There are things that they are said don't do, and you make sure that they don't do it. If you say wear your face mask, you make sure that they wear their face mask. If it's for an issue of social distancing, you provide transport and make sure that people walk accordingly. That is a take for that. But now let me say something about being the chief executive of the state. I want to say that we really have if I am a chief executive of a particular state, my responsibility is on that state. The health, the economy, and the safety of the people in that state are under my hands. So if I don't use it, then I shouldn't be elected again. And that's what I'm saying, that most of these governors are elected on the basis of how we feel, not on the basis of what we know about these people. And then they come in there and they do just nonsense. I mean, that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. That's the state. Now, I think the lockdown should be handled. It's not like we should have a lockdown. It's that when we have a lockdown, I should know my responsibility. I should be told, and then I should do it. But the government should know their responsibility. They should be told. In Nigeria, who complains about what is happening? Go to the banks. Go to the banks. You will see what is happening. People are crowded on themselves because they want to pick up money. We shouldn't arrive at that. Because if there wasn't that lockdown in the banks, what should have happened is that you have people trickling in one after the other, going to pick their money. So I believe that the lockdown is not absolutely necessary. It becomes necessary when people refuse to do what they are told to do. But if we can gradually loosen the lockdown, I think it will help people to move around, it will help the economy, and it will help people to obey the order.
Okay, real quickly, because you've been saying a lot, how do we draw the parallels between, politics and truly trying to protect the lives of people during this COVID period? A lot of people, and you cited Governor Wike as doing a very good job. In fact, you gave him thumbs up here, but a lot of people will say otherwise. If you heard what Ralph Wazirike from Masob said about Governor Wike, you'll be shocked, demolishing people's homes and the likes. And you talked about these governors, shutting their borders, but I'm shocked that Almajirais are still coming in, despite the fact that they shut their borders. So why do you draw the line between politics and people just going overboard and truly protecting the lives of the citizens? A la Governor Wike, let's start with that.
Okay, about Governor Wike, I want to say this. You are going beyond your boundary. There are things you should not do. Don't go and pull down somebody's building. Don't go and do that. What you should do is to tell the person, excuse me, closing this hotel. For God's sake, I will close it. And if you close it, nobody goes in there. I think that simply is enough. Now, let's look at the aspect of the movement. Like I said, if I am the governor of Lagos State, I'm responsible for the people who are living in Lagos State. And therefore, I should check my borders. I should be security conscious. You heard about the one that is happening, where they are saying that the 1 million people are being chased by the Mushi. Why should they do that? That means you don't have security people. You don't have people who are protecting your people.